Okay, let's kick off the show by talking about the Dallas Cowboys, aka the Dallas Cowgirls, because ladies and gentlemen, I know all of you probably watched the Dallas Cowboys lose 41-16 to Washington last week. They really, the game was close for a while. I'll admit that the game was fairly close for a while, but then the Dallas Cowboys started doing Dallas Cowboy stuff. They had a fake punt on 4th and 10 that Mike McCarthy decided to call for whatever reason. I don't know why. I mean, it was in the fourth quarter. You had 12 minutes left in the game. It was still a one-possession game. There was no reason to call a fake punt on Mike McCarthy's behalf. They decided to throw the ball at one point on 4th and inches instead of handing the football off to Ezekiel Elliott. But no, Mike McCarthy says, I'm gonna try to pass the football in this situation versus the number one passing defense at the time, that being Washington's passing defense, Ezekiel Elliott. He had a bad fumble in this game. In Dallas, they just missed several opportunities. And by the way, shout out to Washington. They've got some good young players. You look at Chase Young, you look at Montez Sweat, Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson. Washington has some really good young players, and Ron Rivera, shout out to Ron Rivera. He definitely has Washington moving in the right direction. But folks, as we speak today, whether Dallas Cowboy fans want to admit it or not, they need to start rebuilding, because this roster is nowhere close to being a Super Bowl caliber roster. Right now, Dallas has the worst team and the worst head coach in the worst division in all football. Now, I'm not saying Dallas is as bad as the Jacksonvilles or the New York Jets of the world. They're not worse than the Jets or the Jags, but in the worst division in all football, Dallas has the worst head coach, and they've got the worst roster. They're not close to Green Bay right now. They're not close to the Saints right now. They're not close to the Buccaneers right now. Heck, they're not even close to any of the teams in the NFC West right now from a coaching and talent perspective, and they're not even better than the Carolina Panthers right now as we speak today. And I mentioned worst head coach in the division. Yes, despite Mike McCarthy being a Super Bowl winning head coach, I gotta say, first of all, he's one of the worst Super Bowl winning head coaches of all time. You can attribute him winning those Super Bowls to the bad man in Green Bay named Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, we see Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. Guess what? They both split up. McCarthy last year couldn't find a job. Last year, Aaron Rodgers, he gets to an NFC title game. This year, Aaron Rodgers looks like the NFL MVP, maybe outside of Patrick Mahomes, and Mike McCarthy, he's not getting it done in Dallas as we speak today. The Dallas fan base has turned on Mike McCarthy. A lot of them have, and honestly, I gotta say, I think a lot of players probably have as well, whether they will admit it or not. Right now, today, Joe Judge is a better football coach than Mike McCarthy. Right now, today, Ron Rivera is a better football coach than Mike McCarthy, and Doug Peterson is a better football coach today than Mike McCarthy. Keep in mind, Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles as his starting quarterback. So that's not comparable to winning a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, because you should win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, okay? And listen, man, this team has an aging offensive line. The defense is terrible. Ezekiel Elliott continues to decline year after year as the offensive line gets worse and worse. He's on a terrible contract. He's overpaid. And this team does not have Dak Prescott signed to a long-term deal. And that's not good, because see, here's the thing. Even if you start to pay Dak Prescott in the offseason, if you franchise tag him or you sign him to a long-term deal, are you sure Dak Prescott is worth anywhere from $40+ million per year? Because over the last 3 seasons, Dak Prescott is 7-17 versus teams with a winning record. Okay, Dak Prescott's a very good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, and he has not proven that he can carry a bad roster to the playoffs. And right now, Dallas, they've got a roster that's very top-heavy with a lot of bad contracts, and I don't think Dak Prescott can overcome this team. And honestly, if I'm Dak Prescott, I'm thinking about leaving. I really am, because You could go to a team like Washington, who's in your own division. They might be looking for a quarterback next year. You could go to San Francisco. Who knows what Jimmy Garoppolo's future is right there. You could go to Chicago. Mitchell Trubisky, Nick Foles, they're not cutting it. You could go to New Orleans if they're now sold on Jameis Winston. Or if Tom Brady retires, the Buccaneers might want a quarterback for the future. You could potentially maybe go to Tampa Bay. There's going to be a lot of options out there for Dak Prescott. He will get an opportunity to go play for a better head coach. He will get an opportunity to go play for another really good team with a better roster. Maybe the Indianapolis Colts need a quarterback after this year, And listen, Dallas, don't tell me that Dak Prescott got hurt. He's the reason. If he wasn't hurt, we'd be leading this division by a mile. No, you wouldn't, because when Dak Prescott was healthy, you were an Atlanta Falcons onside kick away from being 0-4 to start the season with Dak Prescott as your starting quarterback. And that's just the facts. That's not an opinion. That's not a myth. That's a fact, okay? And I look at Jerry Jones. This guy, Jerry Jones, he constantly has paid the wrong people. He's whiffed on several head coaches. McCarthy's not the future. I'm sorry. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. And I think that Jerry Jones needs to hit the reset button. I think Dallas would be best served drafting a young quarterback, trading some of their assets away, and trying to rebuild up this football team, because even if Dak Prescott comes back healthy next year, this is not a Super Bowl caliber roster. Not even close. Not even close. You have a lot of bad contracts right now. Ezekiel Elliott, DeMarcus Lawrence, Amari Cooper, Jalen Smith, Tyron Smith. You can make the argument that all those guys are overpaid right now. So, and then you still got to pay Dak Prescott potentially, and he'd probably be overpaid if he gets $40+ million per year. Listen, I'm not trying to bash Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is a good, solid quarterback. He is not worth $40+ million per year. So that's where I'm at with the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're best served hitting the reset button and rebuilding. If Justin Fields is staring them in the eyes, they need to take Justin Fields. They need to start over at quarterback. They need to take Justin Fields, take Zach Wilson, take your swing at another quarterback, because I'm not paying Dak Prescott $40+ million with how bad this roster is right now. You've already whiffed on not paying Dak Prescott, and just because you whiffed on that in the first place doesn't mean that you need to justify it now. So I move on. I rebuild the team. The Dallas Cowboys are an absolute mess, and Jerry Jones is the biggest person to blame for the state of the Dallas Cowboys as we speak today. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God-blessed day, and I'm out.